Hi, welcome to Bob Takes Pics, where we're learning together how to take amazing pictures with our phone. Quick question, what's the number one thing you can do to start taking great photos with your phone? Well, I'm going to let you know, and I promise it doesn't cost anything or take a lot of time to master. And that's my kind of advice. Here we go. Okay, so today we're going to start talking about the number one thing, the most important thing we can do to start taking better pictures with our phones. And this would apply to any kind of camera. But first, I want to share how I got into iPhone photography. I used to have a big DSLR camera, I still do. And I took pictures on it, and I was getting better at doing photoshopping on the computer. But a couple of problems that I had was, one, it took so long to edit the pictures on the computer, and I have to admit I am a bear of very little brain. After I would learn a process to do on the computer, after a while, if I didn't do it all the time, I would forget it and I'd have to go back and relearn it. It got really frustrating and time consuming, and I was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time. Then one day I found myself where my computer and my camera were both in storage, and I was just getting by with my iPhone and wasn't really thinking about it. Then one day I kind of started to realize that the iPhone takes pretty good pictures. So I started to research it, study it a little bit, started practicing, and oh my goodness, the iPhone takes really great pictures. So I started challenging myself to see how good of pictures can I take just with my phone. And I was amazed about the quality of the pictures I was taking. The technology that we hold in our hand blows older camera technology out of the water. It's unbelievable.
For example, did you know that our phones are 14,000 times faster than the old supercomputers? They have 11,000 times more memory, are 68,000 times smaller, and cost 2 million times less? And the video capabilities, it's unbelievable. What used to take hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment and a trained crew, we can now do in a matter of minutes, and with better quality to boot. Costs us nothing. And apps. There are over 2 million free or affordable apps for everything, from games for our cats to an app that stops us from drunk dialing our ex, or our mother, or our boss. Now, combine the amazing camera capabilities with a couple apps and voila, photographic magic. And it fits in our pocket. I was telling this list to a friend recently, and he said, "Don't forget it's a phone too." Duh, I had forgotten. So yeah, it's a phone too, that you can use to call, text, send pics, videos, and documents all over the world, instantly, for free. Standard data rates may apply.
Okay, whew, take a breath, Bob. Let's get into today's topic, which I call shooting with intent. The one thing that we need to do to start taking better pictures with our iPhone. Let's define shooting with intent as simply putting more intention into the photos we're taking. In the old days of film cameras, we had to shoot with intention because film and developing were expensive and time consuming. But these days, with our cameras, we can snap 500 pictures in just a couple of hours, and it doesn't cost us anything. But unfortunately, it can cost us something in the outcome of the pictures we end up with. I think one of the most important first steps we can do in trying to take better, more memorable photos is to put more consideration into the photo that we're taking. And here's something really important to remember. The camera sees things differently than our eyes see them. That's because our eyes are amazing. Our eyes working together with our brain put everything together to see things much differently than just the flat screen of our camera. Our phone, or really any camera, is very limited in what it can see compared to the human eye. Here, let me explain it this way.
When we're walking around and we see something beautiful or interesting, it isn't just our eyes that are experiencing the event. Our eyes are seeing everything in surround vision. Our ears are hearing the ambient sounds. We're smelling certain smells and feeling the day's weather. We also bring our own emotions to the scene. So our brain takes all of this data and mixes it together with what we see and produces an image, a very full dimensional cinematic image of what we see. If we just whip out our phones and click, 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 well, we might be pretty disappointed by our photos when we look at them later. These are real photos from that same day, and yes, that was my finger covering part of the lens. I'm not immune to mistakes.
So when we see something beautiful or cool or interesting, we need to pause for a second and try to recognize the way our camera sees it instead of just the way our eyes see it. Remember, just because something looks great in person doesn't mean it's going to make a great photo. That's the time when we should stop and consider our subject and our exposure and our framing and our composition and, okay, hold on, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We're going to cover that stuff later on. But for now, for today, let's simply do this. Let's stop and look at what's on the screen of our phone. Yep, that little screen shows us exactly what's framed inside the camera. That one step, that one change in our mindset will start us on the road to getting memorable shots. And luckily, I did get a few good shots at the pier that day. Here's a few examples.
Please take a second to submit to this channel and hit that like button. And most of all, I want to hear from you. How do you feel about your photography? Please share some of your iPhone photos with us. I'd love to show them off. You can email them to me at bobtakespics@gmail.com. And we'll end this week's episode with a couple photos that my 12-year-old daughter submitted. She took these on a recent snowy day with her iPhone 5. I'll see you next week. Until then, let's get out there and take an amazing photo.